guys, my name is Tony and welcome to my shop. Today we have a once turn bowl. We're going to twice turn now. It has a big bark inclusion down the middle, a beautiful feather we can see in there, and the bark inclusion comes all the way across to this other side. So it's dried down right now, according to my little moisture meter, to about 8% moisture. So I'm going to mount it up here, trip the tenon, work the outside here a bit, and see if we can get a pretty piece out of this one. It was a little different than my earlier, or this is actually one of my very early, attempts at coring. So we'll see how it comes out here. I haven't tried really doing stuff with feathers and bark inclusions and stuff, and I expect that it should be an interesting project to say the least. All right, so I'll get you guys set up and we'll take a good look at this one. Appreciate you joining me. And again, if you're enjoying my videos, I'd sure appreciate a like, a subscribe, a share. That kind of stuff really helps my channel grow. I just recently passed a couple thousand subscribers, which was just a huge milestone. I'm really grateful to all of you for helping me get there. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Like, what content do you want to see? What kind of projects do you want me to work on? I love getting that input. It really helps me kind of come up with a plan and making sure that I'm creating content people want to see while I'm doing projects I want to do. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Let's get on to it. My mask and face shield on. Speed is all the way down to 0. I'm going to go ahead and slowly speed up just to see what kind of wobble we got there. It went pretty good out around. Not terrible though. I'm going to try to get us up to, around 800 RPM. No stress at all on the lathe, no vibration. So there, we're about 850 RPM right there. And I'm going to start out with the larger of my bowl gouges. This is my Crown by Hurricane, and it's got the really long wing Irish grind on it. I like that for shear cutting, and I still have a really kind of traditional cutting tip up in the front here. So that's how I like to do it. So I like to stop when I get that first few cuts in, when I'm doing a twice turn here, and kind of check, am I still getting really dry? It's not feeling wet in there. And I'm going to try to leave a little bit of the spark in here. We'll see how that comes together for us. I wanted to get round on here. We'll true up that tenon in a second. But let's go ahead and take a pass all the way up. We'll take a couple light passes so we don't get too aggressive and create an issue. But I think we can probably make a couple of nice light passes just to true it up, see what the wood looks like. See how it handles a cut here. So we can already hear where we're in round. Oh, it's going to have some pretty figure if it holds together. We have our up here is not cracking or flexing yet. Those are things I'm watching for. Is this bark inclusion where the feather and the main part of the crotch join, is that going to flex? Or is it going to hang tight for us? Obviously, we're going to have some air in here, but we're pretty round down to this point, and we start coming out around over here. So let's go ahead and finish first pass up, make sure that we're not going to lose any of our shape, or it'll hold together with some integrity. And again, I'm standing way out of the line of fire, a very sharp bowl gouge on the other side here, trying to take light passes. You're hearing there is just a little bit of my jam chuck rattling around. Give it a little crank there. Again, we're just roughing right now, right? We're just looking for shape. Are we going to get our full round? You can see where the wax still is. A few of these places we have to get past that to get our full round on the outside. And then that's going to give us an idea of what our final exterior dimension can be. So we'll take a couple more of those nice, light, smooth passes from the bottom up, and we'll keep working it until we feel like we've got a pretty good feel for our shape and the integrity of our blank. Pretty pleased with that. We made it all the way up. One pass. Little chatter. You can see here that we still have to go past that wax and the wax up there, but everything else is smoothing out pretty nice. We got really nice grain pattern here. The feather's going to make it on both sides of our bowl. I set this line here as my starting point. So I know we have that much more material we can pull out. If we don't need it, I will blend back into that bottom. And we'll have this large foot, which will be beaded when we're done. But even the bark up here on the occlusion is held together and it's cutting quite nicely. Got a knot here with no cracks, and our other bark inclusion here is held together very tightly. So a couple more light passes and we should generally have our exterior shape. This bad tool line here dried funny, so that's going to require a couple of deeper passes, and I might try that with a pulling shear cut or scraper cut with the wing of the tool, and we'll see if that pulls well. Again, I'm staying out of the line of fire here. Get my mask on. Okay, did that. Okay, we still have a little teeny bit of that ridge there still, but that did help us pull that away quite a bit. And we still dive up quite a bit on this rim. So I will take that last pass, famous last pass. Everyone loves the last pass. We'll come in here real gentle, try to get it in one swooping motion. I'll try to balance my tool rest here so that I don't end up on one end or the other of our cut here. It's going to be a push cut. And we're going to still try to leave this. I think this is an attractive detail. This nice bark, it's held in tightly. It's got some moss on it. I think that will be attractive in this piece. We have probably 3/4 of material. I could get rid of that. It would definitely change the total profile of the bowl, and I do believe that that'll be attractive in this piece. I want this to be practical, usable. It's only going to be usable in the sense of, you can put something dry in it. Because of the big inclusions, you wouldn't want to get it messy, but you could put your chips in it, some sliced vegetables or something like that for a party, or you can just leave it out on your table as a centerpiece. I can feel it starting to vibrate a little bit there on me, so I'm going to back off that, try to pick that cut up before the vibration was there. And we'll take lighter passes. If I'm hitting the actual bark there. Getting nice shavings. I know I still have that line, but now we've gotten rid of all of the wax that was on the outside, and we just got to blend that one little line in, which is still slightly oval, so that's going to give us the final shape. And I can see a pickup line down here. That sounds funny, a pickup line. You can hear right there, it's right as the wood starts to flex a little. So I'm going to use a little shear cut, really light. Let's see if we can do a little bit of pulling around that over here. You can hear the bark that we're trying to leave. My mask off so you can hear me better, and I think aside from this here that I'll blend a little bit more, we've got it. You can see here where we've got a little bit more to blend down here. This is pretty radical tool marks from where I flattened out the bottom to get my first cut, but the rest of these tool marks are just a little of the flex and something that should be fairly easy to sand out. We are going to have to start at 80 grit on this, which I kind of usually expect when I have a lot of air. I'm not going to get a perfect cut, and I do have some tool marks up here. I'll see if I can still shear cut those out. But let's work this bottom a little bit more. Again, I'm standing to the side. I still have part of my body in the way here. Do not like the way it bounces. I think that's just how I have it mounted. Oh, but we're almost through there. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set up for sanding real quick, and I'm just going to quickly sand the outside. But before we do that, let's go ahead and true up the tenon here, so we know that we're ready for these chucks on the other side. I'm going to bring it down to about 62 millimeters, and that is just 2 millimeters bigger than the maximum or minimum diameter of my HTC jaws I have on there right now. So I got the pointy gouge, and we're just going to come inside the shadow line to start. Came across that bottom, nice and tight. Let's get out our, that's going to be quite a bit bigger than what I was planning. You can see here's our 60 millimeter. We want to just be a little bit proud of that. So if we come down here, we can see how much material we really need to take. I could take a full 1/4 inch off of that, or another 10 millimeters. And maybe you can see on there, as I'm going in, I'm doing a slight dovetail. And I have right now a reverse, so I'm gonna have to come in just a little bit tighter. The angle of the chisel really helps us get that just right. And make sure we have a nice flat spot for the jaws to settle on. Now we're going to be a little bit oversized, which is what we want, just in case we have to recut that tenon at some point. And this out here is where our bead's going to be for the foot. So I don't really see, I see a couple of teeny little cracks in here, nothing that's going to make me unhappy. And I think we're ready for sanding. I'm going to put you on turbo mode for sanding, because I know we don't like to watch that, and I have to turn on the dust collector, which means I really can't talk much. So give me a few minutes and we'll be right back at it. Okay, so that's the whole sanding process in high speed. My last grit, when you saw me moving around, is going over a couple of these rough spots in here at 400 grit. So what I'm doing is just kind of finding areas where I couldn't hit it with the power sander, or it was bouncing off of that. Probably you can't hear me. Or it was bouncing off of the bark inclusion, so that we can just make sure we don't have any scratches down at the very bottom. We'll also get one more chance to work on the bottom when we turn it around and do our foot. But for right now, that's where we're at. And I'm going to go ahead and put some shop grit on here with a clean paper towel. And then we'll buff that off. We'll see if we can get in there with our raw hands, or if we're going to have to... Ooh, it's so hot in here, my shop grit's actually melting. It's all melted. But we'll see how this is only sanded to 400. But you can kind of see there how that looks, just rubbing the grit in. And of course, this is an abrasive grit, so we're just going to get it on the whole surface. It's not like some of the more famous grits, you know, like you got Axe and some of those pastes. Very, very high quality, very good. This is pumice stone, worked into mineral oil and some beeswax. Heard me talk about it quite a bit, and I use it on just about everything, but I like to get it applied to the whole surface, and then I'll use the abrasive nature of it by cranking up the speed. And I've got a couple of little wood shavings that are stuck in mine, so worst case that'll just burnish something, it won't hurt anything. But I'm gonna have to get into the shop, or into the kitchen, if my wife lets me, and make a new batch here soon. I don't know if that's something you guys would want to see how I do it. I mean, it's pretty simple, but there's a lot of guys who've got their own little recipes out there. But over the course of the last few years, I've kind of developed my own little spin on it, and I'm pretty happy with how it turns out. I almost never put a finish on something. You'll occasionally see me use some shellac on like rough pieces that I want to keep interest in, or I want to make shiny. Generally just art pieces. Everything else is just going to be mineral oil and the grit. So we'll see with these inclusions and that up here if we don't catch ourselves. We're going to be going in forward speed, and I'm going to be turning it up right around 1,000 RPM. I'm still the crank nice and tight. Okay, taking a clean part of the towel here, I'm just going to and let it bead itself across. And you can usually see in the image, as I make my way up to the top, you can usually see a little bit more shine coming through. And again, this isn't our finish, it's just an abrasive step we take to get out all the fine scratches from the 400. Now I stopped at 400. I have a lot of turning friends who don't even have 320 in their shop. I think I was watching a demo from Doug Miller, and he never goes past 240, said he doesn't even think he has 320 sandpaper anywhere in his shop. I, on the other hand, my style, I like going to 400 and then kind of working the 400 out of it, the little scratches you get from 400, and you can see that leaves a very nice finish. Still have quite a bit on there that I need to work off, so we're going to get the linen mop. And I use the mop because we have all these odd shapes and stuff. I can't keep a uniform pressure on it. And the mop, this is a Harbor Freight kit. It's $9, came with like 12 different mops. And we'll just go through that same 1,000 RPM now, and we'll buff it off that way. I think that was less than 30 seconds there. And I'll go over our nice bark in here. Just gives it a more finished look. And now we don't have any grit left on there, and it's pretty. So from here I can go to Howard's Feed and Wax, or I can use my own shop-made shine, which I just call Shop Shine. And here's what it looks like. It's just a big old Tupperware full of beeswax, mineral oil, carnauba, and a little bit of lemon essence. The lemon essence smells nice, and you see a lot of wood finishing products, especially like maintenance products, include some kind of lemon oil in them. And I found that it does penetrate, and it also smells nice. People like the way it smells when I give them a little tin of it to put on their cutting board or their bowl to maintain it. And it adds a nice luster, especially when you get a little chatoyancy in the wood like that. Somehow this just soaks in and brings to life whatever's already there in the wood. I mean, you can't make ugly wood pretty, but you can make pretty wood prettier. And maybe you can make ugly wood pretty. I've seen a bunch of these guys use stains and dyes and all sorts of cool stuff like that. I haven't really gone down that path in my own turning or embellishments yet, but it's looks like a lot of fun. So now I'm going to let this set up on here a little bit. It's awful warm, and then we'll come back and we'll buff that off, and that'll kind of be our near finish for the outside until we take it over to the Beal system. And on the Beal, I will hit it with carnauba and the linen mop. We don't need to use the white diamond, even though I think the white diamond is still a finer grit than the 400. And I don't know all the different grits out there. I'm using an F2 pumice in mine, which is the equivalent of about an 800 sandpaper. That's what I've read. And you can really work it in through everything. And while it's working, that little grit and the mineral oil and the wax all kind of settle into pores, and it really seals it up real nicely. So let's let that sit for a bit, and we'll come back and we'll buff it off. Okay, for the buffing, what I'm going to use right now is a standard yellow Terry car wash detail cloth. I mean, you get these, I think you get 30 of them at Costco for 11, 12 bucks. I've got the same bag of mine that I bought 4 years ago. They last a very long time. Remember, never wrap it around your hand. Make sure you're holding it tightly. If you do, you can get a finger pulled off or dislocated severely. Sometimes I'll hold it in two hands when I've got inclusions, and I'll move it across the piece like this as we're buffing. I'm going to move it up to about 1400 RPM. And I'm going to start, going in forward right now. I'm going to be underneath it with it held firmly in my hands like this. And don't have any fingers wrapped in it. It can pull right out of my hand if I need it to, but I can come right under it and let the thing roll into I'm letting my bowl blank, my almost finished bowl here, roll into the towel. None of my fingers are wrapped in it. Okay. I'm going to fold it over, holding it, pinching it between my fingers like this, again, so I don't have a chance of getting my fingers caught. And now I'm going to put a little pressure into it. So that pressure is going to generate a little heat. You can hear the bark inclusion going over it there? All right. And that should leave us with a really pretty table ready shine. So pretty quick and easy. I'm going to go ahead and flip this around now, get it in the chucks, and we'll see what we can do with that inside. We also have, you know, the rim is raised quite a bit on both of the pith ends, so we're going to lower this bowl down and try to balance it out. I'll sharpen up all my gouges before I do that, so we're not stopping midway to sharpen. But we should probably only need the 1/2 inch bowl gouge, the 5/8, and then the bottom feeder, the Glenn Lucas, the GL6 that I've been using a lot of lately. Smarter turner might go ahead and finish his foot right now, since you already have this tenon here. I go and roll my bead and everything, but I don't want to risk having any loss of mass down here at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it around, and I'll flip it back to finish the bottom. All right, let's get her flipped. So after we get our jam chuck out, just close our jaws down to the closest approximate size here, and a little forward pressure towards the headstock. Give it a good crank. Flip it around to the other pinion there, and boom. Turn it down to 0. Step out of the line of fire, and see how she spins. Still looks great on the outside, so just have to deal with that inside. And this is where, on these included parts, drama can start. So we'll pay close attention here. Got it up to 1,000 RPM, 1,050. Should be plenty for what we're trying to do. So I'll reposition the camera here for you, and we'll get to it. All right, well, we've got her mounted up. We've got her spun up. We can spin her around. We know she's clear from our tool rest here. This is about the closest spot on here. So maybe we move it in just a teeny bit more. Make sure the closer we are, the better. And I might actually start with it parallel to the outside of the bowl, just so I can keep a better eye on it. And that would bring us in to here. But I want to make sure we're clearing everything, because boy, nothing worse than especially a delicate bowl with a bark inclusion. You spin that up and it hits your rest, it's going to fly apart. So you can see where our stress is going to be down this middle. You can see the beautiful feather that we're going to try to bring out of this bowl. Comes up into the crotch of these two trees or grow in this direction. So this is can't remember the type of maple this was. This was cut down about 3 years ago. It's probably a small leaf maple. That seems to be the most prevalent one the tree trimmers drop off for me. So let's go ahead and flatten off that rim first. You notice I'm taking extremely small passes. I don't want to put any stress on that rim. Each of those passes is probably a 64th of an inch. We're starting to feel full bevel support now. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. Still have some wax here, some wax up here, but you can see how that's coming up, and that's going to be a beautiful rim embellishment, both sides. Just have a little bit more to go, so I'm going to go ahead and move our tool rest in. So we have the maximum support for that tip, and I'll keep it tight to my body, and we'll get that rim level. So those are the kind of curls you want to see. Little long curly shavings coming off that. A little bit of tear out there, that knot. And we still have a little low spot here and here. And that's all that's left for us to be ready to do the inside. Remember, this outside edge is going to be razor sharp. Don't get your finger touching that. Just a wee bit more there. Where's that color in the wood? No, I want to take just a couple little teeny passes left. I want to get it completely flat on the outside rim. So I went in at a slight angle that time. And now we've got a nice clean rim. So next portion of this, hopefully from here you can see it, we're going to take some light passes just to get it nice and round on the inside. We don't want any catches. And we can see a little bit of a ghost image from my angle. So we want to just kind of get that. See how much we have to go to get round here. Quite a bit, see? Round, round, round. That's taking the bark inclusion well, but we still have to get through all of that. That's our low spot. And we'll probably want to bring this down to about 3/8 of an inch anyway to hold it together. Feeling better. Still closer here. We got quite a ways to go, but you can feel this is staying uniform, and that's kind of my goal right now, is to maintain some uniformity there. So we'll just keep going. I don't want any surprises, right? No surprises with our bowl that's held together by bark. Whoa, that's a bad catch there. Trying to come at the wrong angle. So that was the exact catch I was trying to avoid, but we did not catch on any of the bark, thank goodness. But you can see we're getting these lovely, lovely dry, long ribbony shavings with the little spiral curlicues. So our cuts are coming in right, at the right angle, and that's really what we're shooting for. That though, my gouge is getting very, very hot. It's the wood is dry, 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 but it's turning very nicely. So we'll keep working this down. I'm not going to leave this decorative, this portion I just did on the rim was not an intentional decorative feature. That was just to overcome what I did. So we'll bring it all the way back into here. Slow passes though. And then when we get down here, we'll take some other small passes till we get out the bottom feeder. Okay, feeling a new kind of vibration through the tool. Okay, so our thickness, we're a little thicker at the bottom than we are at the top, but not much. And I just want to make sure everything's holding together. I don't see anything flexing anywhere. So as we pull down into this, I'm going to go ahead and clean some of this up right now to make my passes be able to end a little further down. And I'm going to use the larger gouge for that. And we're just going to come across real lightly across the top. Just skim them until we get some of that mass removed, just a little bit of it. Out some of that mass so that I can feel more comfortable, and I want to see how far that bark inclusion goes. If it's going to meet up in the middle here, the bowl is going to get increasingly fragile the further down we go. So there's one little witness line here. I think you can see that in there. Then I'm going to start at that witness line now and take my cut down to maintain my wall uniformity till we get to this bottom here. The bottom from here down is about 3/4 of an inch thick right now. So we don't want to make too many passes. We want to get down there and then start with the Glenn Lucas bottom feeder. So I got a lot of pressure down on the tool rest itself. Just try to gently feed it into the wood here. Okay, got a little burn mark there. I was riding my bevel a little hard, so I'm gonna have to pull that out with the tool. And our wall thickness is pretty good to about where that line is. So we're getting in good shape. You can see we're getting really nice, fine, powdery, not even powdery, those are just perfect little curly cues. Those little curly cues. Poof, poof. Yeah, that's what you want. So let's go ahead and we're going to start about just before that burn line. Let me see how my gouge is holding up. Yeah, it's just hot, but it's keeping a nice edge. So there's no silica or anything in this wood. There we go. One bouncy right there. It comes thick on this end, thin on that end. So that is from the vibration in the bowl itself. So let's see if we can scrape that. Sure, scrape that at all, real lightly. Got that nice powdery dust from that. There's a little bit of the bark here that wanted to catch. Did not do anything to us though. Now we still have some tool lines in there. So as it's coming around, I'm getting a bounce off of that. Nice and tight over here. Bad tool lines on that side. So I just wonder where the flex is coming from and if it's getting too thin for me to do that with an even very sharp tool. So I'm going to go ahead and stop and do a real quick sharpening and just try to get this down to the bottom. We don't want to have to come back up to this again, and I definitely don't want to spend that much time with 80 grit sandpaper. Be right back. Okay, nice fresh edge on there. Took a little bit off the heel so I can get in there a little tighter, and we should be good to go. Got the shavings I was looking for. Did we get rid of those lines? Yep, right to where we stopped. Okay. Let's take care of the rest of those in there. Hopefully we can get a good angle on it. Really catchy in there. Okay, so we're getting down into the depth of our bowl now. I'm going to say we still have plenty of space here to get our rounding going. So I'm going to be coming from the inside, and I will give myself quite a bit more support now. Do some light pulls from the inside out. So we're going to start at the tip there, in there quite a ways. So we're going to start at the dead center and just kind of pull our way out to this material. So you can see a nice sharp gouge will pull right along there. Almost through all of the out around, huh? Okay, now I'm only stopping to see how our bark's coming through. Bark inclusion still coming out down here. The feather's coming out beautifully. We have a very thick base right now, so we really need to work our way down slowly, get to a point where we can feel comfortable getting out the bottom feeder. You can see I really don't want to lose my bevel contact, but we're getting beautiful cuts down into that round section there now. No complaints. Okay, we're almost down there. Our cut's down lower, staying nice. We have this rim here, so I think we can probably pluck this material off Yeah, I can pluck this material off with the big gouge, and then we'll get out the bottom feeder to finish this transition and go to the base. Okay. Some tool lines here. Those will be easily sanded out. There's no ridges. So let's see how our bottom feeder does. Pardon me. Sorry, Glenn Lucas. And we should be able to come straight in there and across. Just get those, blend those lines out. Still have a line here I'm going to have to scrape out, but we are down to our uniform wall thickness to the bottom, so we really can't go much deeper than that. Now it's just a matter of pulling off this material, blending that one line we left over there, and praying that our bark inclusion doesn't come all the way through, right? Lower it just a little bit more here. Getting a nice cut, but I would like to make sure there's no nub in the middle. We're actually doing pretty good there. I just didn't like the way it looked from my angle. Go. That is now ready for sanding. We did get some tear out down here in the feather, and there are a couple of, there's a little ridge here that I will work out gently. I was a little surprised at the tear out, but there is a feather there, and those things do tear. That is just how that works. So we'll see if I can take, there's one little ridge right here where that transition from one style of gouge to the other gave me a little trouble. Do the trick. A lot better. There we go. Still one little ridge right here. Could probably get out a scraper, but I don't think I want to do that. I want to get this with the bowl gouge. So let's just, everything's nice and flat. We got one little nub here that'll sand out just fine, and I can actually get that with the large gouge interior wing. That did it. Yeah, there you go. Now we're ready for sanding. So I am probably, well, let me actually get a ruler because I own a ruler. Look at me. Okay, we are 10 millimeters thick there. So just, yeah, 10 millimeters. There's quarter. So we're at 3/8 of an inch, little under 3/8 of an inch thick. On the outside, and I'll get out the other caliper, make sure our bottom's good. Remember, I still have a foot to take off, so I have to calculate for that as well. So we're about 1/2 inch at the bottom, so that'll leave me room to take the foot off, and should be close to uniform on the thickness. So again, I'll put you on Speedomatic, and I'll sand up the interior, bring you back when we're ready to finish it, or if there's something pretty in there. I think this feather is going to be really pretty once we sand. I'll bring you back for that if it's worth seeing. If not, I'll just bring you back at the end when we're ready to wrap it up and take the foot off. So appreciate you hanging with me. I hope you're having a good time. This has been a real fun turn for me. Okay, well, the sanding's done. You guys turboed through that. I spent about 25 minutes total. Really hard to get it sanding by machine with the open gaps here, so I had to do a lot of stopping, starting, going through the process that way. Clean up my grit here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and apply the grit. I'm going to hand rub it in to some areas where I just couldn't machine sand it. Just start here. But as we get to that feather, you're going to see some magic. I mean, I can't believe how pretty this little maple feather is down the middle here. Let's see how we see it start to come out there. What do you think about that? Comes all the way up the side as well. I've seen prettier ones. There's been prettier ones, but with the bark inclusion running down the middle, I think it really adds some pretty cool interest to the piece. Trying to keep it out of our bark inclusion cracks there. So I'm just liberally applying that. I'll get the outside rim here with a little. Again, everything's a little more difficult when you got a split rim or a bark inclusion, right? You can't just run your tools like normal, because you're going to catch something on there if you put the wrong pressure on. And you guys saw it was a little bit more difficult getting the bottom done. Every time we changed grain, that feather shooting a bunch of different directions. We had to really pay attention to whatever was going on there. So I'm going to go ahead, without wrapping around, using the paper towel, bring the speed up right around 1,000 RPM. A little more than that actually. We're actually running around 1,100. And then steadying my wrist, just slowly work that through. Can't apply a lot of pressure on the end there, because it just grabs your cloth and tears it. Oh, see, that's coming right out. So we'll work on the inside a bit more here until we get to the bark inclusion that wants to grab the towel. And it is vibrating, it's moving around a bit. It's going to do that when you got that gap there. Just going to slightly go oval a little bit on you as you're going around the edges. And it'll want to cut you up like it's doing to the towel. So that is just with the grit. Now let's get our linen mop out and we'll finish buffing that in, and then we'll move to our shop shine. Oh, you guys get to see my lovely wife. I saw her just sneak by while I was polishing. Hello, lovely wife.
Hello, lovely husband.
So there we go. Go and wipe that down with a clean towel now. And then we'll apply some shop shine. I have a buddy, I think I've mentioned it before. His name is Gonzalo. And Gonz does tattoo work. He does amazing wood turning. And he also has his own brand of wood wax. And I was actually thinking of maybe getting his out for this, because it's got a really nice shine. You can see some chatoyancy in there. Well, why don't we use wood turner Gonz's wax? This is the one I'm going to use today. Really, it's a nice. He has a new blend as well, but this is the older one that's a little harder. Doesn't have as much carnauba in it, and it really has a nice shine. And his smells yummy. When you just want to take a spoonful of it and eat it up. But I'm going to put a little in here. And we'll buff that in really, really good. It's hard wax, so I really got to dig in there to get some. All right, here we go. But I can see that, especially on that feather, just kind of taking off a little bit. Yeah, just hitting that little bit of interesting ripple at the bottom here. At least in my lighting, from my angle, it started bringing out some more of that chatoyancy. And it's a colorless wax, so you get exactly what the wood looks like. I just let it rub it in, let it saturate and soak in, and then I'll get the other linen mop out and we'll buff that down. I think the outside I can probably do on the Beal. Don't know if it's going to make a difference. I think I got a couple little scratches in there. I might have to go back at some point and get into that, or I might have just put them on myself while I was rubbing all the stuff in. Hard to tell from the right, unless you get right at the right angle. But there you go. All right, we'll buff it out, take on, and then we'll flip it over and take the foot out. Be right back. Okay, Got it all buffed out on the inside. Turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with the chatoyancy and the way the bottom came together there. It's still round to your finger. It looks like it has a ridge just because of the light hits it, but there's no ridge there. And so I'm going to put a nice, our little cleaning towel here, line up with our, come on, we'll line up with our little mark from where we had it set up before on the jam chuck. Wait for just the right amount of sound. And we're going to go ahead and peel that tenon off. And then I'm going to round this over, make a slightly decorative bead. Might texture the bottom. You know me, I like to do that. If it makes the video, because I thought it was really cool. Otherwise, there's so many videos of me texturing the bottom. You probably are kind of sick of that by now. Let's see what we got. Let's turn it nice and round. Trying to see if I'm getting a flat bottom here or not. And I do appear to have a flat bottom. Got a little bit of play here. I'm trying to keep that into consideration so we don't get a wobble. Go ahead and clean up the old area here. We have a nice delineation there. Still a little loose for my tastes. See right here, it's not quite the same size. So what I'm going to do, spirit willing here, take that down a bit. It should be nice and flat on top, rounded on the edge. Almost. Still have a little goo here, so I need to bring that down a teeny bit more. Just want to make sure it's nice and uniform and attractive. I think I still see a little color there. We're close to bringing that into a round. So let's keep working that till I get a nice round base to work for my bead. Adequate. Little goo there. Oh, that'll come off by a fingernail. Or I can bring that in just a teeny bit more. Let's go ahead and bring it in just a teeny bit more. There we go. Got my round bead on top. I just got to work on delineating it, pulling it out on the inside here. Still a little high in the middle. There's the bottom. I'm going to sand that real quick just with some 240 if I can find some 240 here. Good enough for us to get our texture on it. And that's kind of what I like on the bottom of these bowls, is a little texture. So, Ron Brown's best. Bring it in at just a slight angle. Should give us a really cool spiral. Very nice. Very nice. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and put a little highlight line or a detail line. Right. So I can do two of them on this one. I can do one on the outside edge here. And I can go on the inside where we stop with our texture to really show it off that way. So that'll kind of snaps those two apart, and it leaves us a center section in here that I'll sand for my signature. So that's pretty much it there, aside from peeling that last bit of the tenon off. And I'll use the little pointy gouge, and I just come in at a right along the edge of my live center. And then from there, I'm just going to sand it off. So it's starting to get thin and a little hot. So we took the pressure off. No crack on the inside still. Our base thickness and our wall thickness are the same now. And we'll have that beautiful bottom there after I sand that up. So I'll bring it back, give you the final after I pull the little nub off with the chisel and do some sanding. I'll do that off camera, and then we'll talk about it at the end. Well, there you go. Turned out pretty darn good. We've got our crotch section here with 2 split bark inclusions. Ended up about 3/8 of an inch thick all the way around. Little beaded foot. Just a neat piece. It's the first piece to come out of my kiln since I built the kiln. And again, this was once turned, or the first time, about 18 months ago. And the twice turn was today. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, and I earned your like and subscription, I'd sure appreciate it. Any comments are always welcome. I try to answer everyone, and it does mean a lot to me to get to interact with you guys. Let me know how I did. Let me know what you're up to. Until the next time, get out there and turn something.